Today we have just a massive stack of sources detailing a truly explosive reunion.
It really is.
We're looking at excerpts from a narrative that captures the sudden, intense reignition of a long-running rivalry between two former high school adversaries, June and Ryan.
Right.
They are forced back into the same orbit 12 years later for a joint bachelor and bachelorette party, and our mission today is to thoroughly dissect what happens when world-class culinary ambition clashes head-on with deep, unresolved personal baggage.
And, you can't forget the massive teenage sexual tension that just never went away.
Absolutely not. That's the engine for the whole thing.
That's right. And this isn't just about us, unpacking a typical enemy-to-lover trope. We're really grounding it in the specifics of a hyper-competitive professional life.
Mm-hmm.
We're analyzing how extreme levels of success, June's established gourmet bakery empire in Charleston versus Ryan's globally recognized 3 Michelin star status, become the weapons in their adult conflict.
Yeah, these aren't just jobs, they're identities.
Mm-hmm. They're identities, exactly. So we need to explore the specific psychological evidence that their antagonism was always a sort of complex mask for deep, concealed attraction, and also the emotional wounds each of them has been carrying unhealed for over a decade.
And the setting for this showdown couldn't be more perfect. Charleston, South Carolina.
Right, with all that southern charm and pressure.
The core conflict revolves around June, who is the majority owner of Darlin' Donuts, a local institution, a major hotspot, and then Ryan, the acclaimed chef. Their mutual best friends, Stacy and Logan, are getting married, meaning Ryan is Logan's best man, and June is Stacy's maid of honor.
So there's no escape.
Zero escape. They cannot avoid each other.
And that really sets the stage for a confrontation rooted in misunderstanding. June is completely convinced this is the final battle in a war that she thinks Ryan won 12 years ago.
When he walked away.
When he walked away without a word after nearly kissing her on graduation day. But as the narrative unfolds, it reveals that the war was actually, mutual concealed pining. This whole thing is heavily complicated by June's devastating personal trauma from a failed engagement 5 years prior.
Which we absolutely have to get into.
Oh, we will. And Ryan's abrupt, career-focused departure for culinary school in France. We absolutely must analyze the elements that led Ryan to choose professional flight over emotional vulnerability back then, because that's what sets the stage for this competitive dynamic now.
Okay, so let's start with June's mindset going into this reunion. She's 30 years old. She owns the majority stake in Darlin' Donuts, which she and Stacy launched 3 years ago.
Yeah.
In her mind, she's achieved a serious level of success.
Right. She calls herself the Southern Queen of the Gourmet Donut Tycoon.
Exactly. But how much of this success is genuine, and how much is really performance art designed solely for Ryan?
That's the key question, isn't it? The source material makes it so clear that the performance is everything. Her motivation is singular and aggressive. It is to crush Ryan Henderson under her black stilettoed feet.
Wow.
And finally win the battle she feels he abandoned 12 years ago. She has tailored her entire preparation around this one goal. She needed to look successful, untouchable, and just utterly superior.
And we get the specifics of this emotional battle armor.
We do.
The high neck, low back dress, the killer wing dye liner, all designed to signal sophistication and control. It's her belief that her success offsets what she desperately hopes is his professional and physical decline.
Yes, she's operating on this complete assumption that he must be ugly and greasy.
Why? Why does she need that to be true?
Because, as the source states, that fiction was essential for her peace of mind for the past 12 years. Think about the psychological architecture she's built. She had imposed a strict no mention of the devil rule on Stacy and Logan for years.
So she couldn't even hear his name.
Couldn't hear his name. She's not only avoided Ryan, but also constructed a completely fictional, unattractive, and, easily vanquishable version of him in her mind. This urgency to project success isn't just about career validation. It's about proving to herself that she didn't lose 12 years ago.
That she's the one who won in the end.
She won in the end, despite his sudden exit. Her dating life, which is described as above average, is just another piece of this self-affirming facade she's built.
But the setup for the forced reunion, Stacy and Logan's party, means her carefully constructed world is just about to collapse.
Totally.
She arrives in her full battle regalia, ready to deliver the killing blow, and then reality hits her like a truck.
The shock is instant and devastating. The sources explicitly tell us that Stacy, her best friend, had never corrected June's assumption.
That's great, I'll admit.
It is a little bit. She just let June live in that comfortable fantasy. So when Ryan arrives, dressed impeccably in a suit, looking like Adonis, the first layer of June's defense system, her physical dominance, is immediately obliterated.
Gone in a second. And that initial visual defeat is just the preamble. Then comes the professional revelation, and this is where we need to spend some time understanding the gravity of the stakes.
Absolutely. Ryan is revealed to be the youngest chef to ever earn 3 Michelin stars.
Okay, so for anyone who isn't steeped in the world of high-stakes, fine dining, let's break that down. This is not just success.
No, this is culinary superstardom. A single Michelin star means the food is very good in its category. 2 stars mean excellent cooking, worth a detour. 3 stars, the highest honor, means exceptional cuisine, worth a special journey. It's a career that demands perfection, unrelenting dedication, and a level of artistry that places him in the global elite.
So when June hears this, her Donut Tycoon title suddenly feels incredibly small.
Right.
She runs a successful, local, beloved business, but Ryan operates on an entirely different scale, a scale that requires international recognition and, immense pressure. She instantly recognizes the defeat.
She feels like she made a complete fool of myself with her earlier boasts about her shop. The source material captures that feeling of instant shame, realizing her performance was entirely inadequate against his verifiable, globally recognized legend status.
And Ryan, sensing this instantly, plays the role of the enemy perfectly.
Which we realize later is his version of aggressive flirting.
Right. He uses physical proximity. He whispers, "Junebug," high school nickname, to invade her space. And then he seals her humiliation with the shoe incident.
The shoe incident. It's so good.
It is. He uses his expensive, fancy leather dress shoe to gracefully sweep the rogue piece of toilet paper from beneath a black stiletto she was planning to crush him under.
It's a literal and figurative defeat of her entire performance.
It's perfect. She went from being the Southern Queen ready for war to being caught with toilet paper on her heel.
It's highly symbolic. It suggests that June's entire facade, the armor she wore to prove her superiority, was flawed and, easily exposed by Ryan's casual yet devastatingly effective intervention. He has demonstrated in one single subtle movement that he knows exactly how to disarm her.
But let's look critically at the origins of this behavior for a second. The source material frames this as flirting, but these are certainly aggressive moves designed to destabilize June.
That's a crucial distinction. The narrative justifies this behavior by revealing Ryan's hidden history. He confirms he left immediately after graduation for Le Cordon Bleu in France, and his explanation for abandoning the almost kiss on graduation day. It just speaks volumes about his character and his fear of vulnerability.
He chose hostility over connection.
Why? He clarifies that he chose to leave them as enemies rather than lovers, because leaving a genuine, realized connection, finally tasting her lips, feeling that intimacy, and then having to immediately abandon it for his career would have been a cruel form of torture.
So he thought the pain of losing a lover would be infinitely greater than the pain of leaving an enemy.
Exactly. He was protecting himself, and in doing so, inflicted a decade of confusion and resentment on June.
So his intended goal upon returning, 12 years later, was actually reconciliation. He assumed their high school animosity was water under the bridge.
Yeah, he wanted to bury that hatchet. But when he sees June has resurrected the war, he reverts instantly to type.
He snaps right back into it.
Right back. He admits he loved dueling with June because for him, that intense back-and-forth tension was always synonymous with flirting. He quickly falls back into that pattern, stealing a date's number from her phone and leaving a note calling the guy a tool. He knows that the only reliable way to engage June is through competitive antagonism.
It's just fascinating how their individual insecurities, her trauma, his fear of emotional connection, manifested as this shared competitive dynamic that kept them connected even when they were thousands of miles apart.
That competition becomes the language of their attraction.
Okay, so let's transition from the initial reunion shock to the literal empires they've built, because their professional lives are, in a way, just extensions of their psychological warfare.
Absolutely. In one corner, you have Darlin Donuts, and we are told this is a Charleston hotspot. It was even featured in Vogue as a must-visit. This isn't just a place to grab a glazed treat.
No, the sources give us a truly rich level of detail about the aesthetic, which reflects June's status as the idea woman. It's a genuine labor of love and design. Can you describe the physical space? Because it really reflects her personality.
It's this intentional blend of vintage charm and modern sophistication. We're talking about a space that is saturated in bright yet soft pastel pinks, yellows, and turquoise. This is offset by thick, elaborate crown molding a nod to traditional Charleston architecture, paired with these tufted blue-green velvet booths for seating and a speckled marble floor. They even have a specific peg wall dedicated to showcasing their signature seasonally decorated donuts. Her architect brother, Jake, helped her design the space. He transformed a building that was initially a dump into this vibrant visual statement.
That detail is so key because it grounds June's claim to success. She isn't just selling pastries, she's selling an experience based on meticulous design and vision.
But here is the critical vulnerability beneath that whole pastel veneer.
Mm-hmm.
June's success is incredibly fragile. Stacy, her business partner, is described as her emotional and strategic rock. Stacy is the one who prevents June from making terrible decisions, doing too much too soon, and quitting when things get hard.
And that history of quitting is the ticking time bomb in June's professional life. Let's just list her track record of self-sabotage for a second.
Yeah, listen.
She dropped out of college, 3 credits shy of graduating. She dropped out of cosmetology school. And her first business, a flower truck, failed completely after the devastating end of her engagement to Ben.
This creates her core professional insecurity. She explicitly states she fears running the bakery alone, internalizing the belief that the current success is all because of Stacy. She sees herself as a faking fakerson, maintaining a public image of strength while privately feeling a little broken.
And this fear is so pervasive that it extends to her dating life, which she limits with that one-date-only rule.
And her business life, she refuses to go it alone again. She links commitment in business directly to commitment in love, feeling abandonment and failure in both.
So now let's turn to Ryan's empire, the world of 3 Michelin stars. We discussed the prestige, but let's talk about the lifestyle cost. This dedication requires him to work 6, sometimes 7, days a week, often until midnight. This intense schedule leaves basically no room for a personal life, for relationships, or reflection.
It's a pressure cooker, and his high professional status has attracted the attention of the elite. He is currently being courted by Noah Prescott, a truly renowned, massive restaurateur, to take the executive chef role at a new, ridiculously extravagant 1920s-themed restaurant in Chicago called Basque.
The source material describes Basque in almost excessive detail. It sounds like a temple of wealth.
It is. Picture white marble everywhere, a magnificent central chandelier, heavy red curtains that are only open for the truly exclusive reservations booked a month in advance. It's designed to replicate the opulence of the wealthiest 1920s society, catering to the absolute top 1% of the clientele. This represents the ultimate professional peak and power position for Ryan.
But this is where Ryan's internal conflict comes to a head. He admits he's tired of being an a-hole in that competitive, cutthroat culinary environment. His entire professional identity has been shaped by the need to be ruthless, demanding, and constantly chasing external validation.
And he feels so disconnected from his original, deeply personal motivation for cooking. This is a vital detail we have to talk about. His original purpose was profound. Cooking was a way for him to feel closer to his late mother.
Yeah.
When he had a bad day, they would cook together. It was a nonverbal form of therapy and remembrance. He feels that this beautiful, pure motivation has been utterly corrupted by the high-stakes, competitive environment where people like Noah Prescott operate solely for the love of money.
He describes himself as feeling covered in a unique eau de cologne called Le Douchebag Supreme.
Which is such a great line.
It's a perfect phrase. It perfectly encapsulates his disgust with the person he has become to achieve this level of success. He's tired of the stress and the constant need to please the unpleasable clientele who treat food as a status symbol rather than an experience.
So we have these two people. June, terrified of independence and failure, clinging to the familiar structure provided by Stacy. And Ryan, standing at the precipice of ultimate professional achievement, yet recognizing that this achievement has stripped him of his soul and his purpose.
And then the interlude that changes everything. It raises the stakes dramatically for both of them. Stacy and Logan are moving to California for Logan's dream job as a thoracic surgeon. So Stacy is selling her half of Darlin Donuts, pressuring June to buy her share and become the full owner.
Which sends June into that predictable, crippling spiral of anxiety. It reflects her deep-seated fear of failure and running solo.
And Stacy is ruthless in her timeline. She even lines up meetings with external buyers just 2 days away, essentially forcing June's hand to either step up or lose the bakery entirely.
But it's the external event that forces the romantic connection.
Right.
The caterer's cancellation for the rehearsal dinner due to the flu.
A crisis requiring a hero And who better than a 3-star Michelin chef to step in? So Ryan volunteers to cater the entire rehearsal dinner.
But he does so with a truly strategic stipulation. He will cater only if June assists him, using her kitchen, the domain of Darlin Donuts. This is tactical genius.
It really is.
He forces them into intense, close-quarters collaboration, not on romantic terms, but on professional terms, centered around the one thing they both intrinsically understand: food.
And June, naturally, she resists fiercely. The narrative confirms she only relents after Stacy threatens to expose a highly embarrassing childhood secret: the time June peed her pants on a scrambler ride.
The ultimate blackmail.
The ultimate blackmail. The shame of public humiliation outweighs her fear of Ryan.
And this collaboration is so essential for stripping away their armor. They aren't cooking high-end, fussy food. Ryan, the elite chef, is forced to produce a menu of deeply comforting American classics.
Yeah, what's on the menu?
Potato chip chicken, old-fashioned mashed potatoes, green beans slathered in butter, and home-style mac and cheese. This is a monumental professional U-turn from his usual fare, like Tuscan seared salmon, and it forces both of them to connect over food that reminds them of home and vulnerability rather than performance and ego.
Okay, let's move to the psychological core of this deep dive now. The traumas that have defined June's adulthood and fueled her antagonism towards Ryan. Everything revolves around the Ben debacle 5 years ago.
This is where we need to slow down and really analyze the specific mechanics of that betrayal, because it's the blueprint for June's fear of commitment and professional independence. She was engaged to Ben, she canceled the wedding the week of the ceremony, and initially she maintained this lie that she felt suffocated and lost touch with herself.
A lie that allowed her to retain control of the narrative.
Precisely. But the truth, which she slowly starts to reveal, is horrific. Ben cheated on her. She found the text evidence and a photo with a woman named homewrecker Hallie.
Which is bad enough.
It's bad enough, but the most psychologically damaging part was his reaction when she confronted him and broke off the engagement.
What did he do?
He sighed in relief, and then told her he was no longer attracted to her, implying that she had gotten too comfortable around him.
Oh, that's brutal.
It is. This wasn't just a breakup. It was a profound, targeted attack on her self-worth and her body image. This moment solidified the narrative in June's head that if she ever lets her guard down, if she gets too comfortable, if she is simply herself, she will be rejected and found lacking.
And the consequences are immediate and just so far-reaching. This is why she constantly critiques her body, referring to her perceived weight gain as squish. This trauma is the reason she performs perfection in her attire, fearing being seen in anything less than perfect. And critically, this is the root of her one-date-only rule.
The one-date rule is a meticulously calculated defense mechanism. It ensures no man ever gets close enough, ever sees her comfortable or vulnerable enough to inflict that specific, crushing blow of rejection again. She fears falling for Ryan because she knows that if he leaves, her heart will crack wide open, echoing the devastation Ben caused. Her antagonism toward Ryan is a form of emotional preventative medicine.
But what June never realized was that Ryan's past behavior was also rooted in this deep, if misguided, emotional framework. Logan reveals Ryan's protective side, and this is where the teenage rivalry takes on a kind of darker, obsessive hue.
We learn that Ryan and Logan actively worked together in high school, specifically to ruin June's dates. Yeah, they weren't just rivals, they were her unacknowledged guardians. The anecdote we get is about her 16th birthday boyfriend. They deflated his tires after overhearing him making a callous bet about deflowering her.
So Ryan was actively intervening in her romantic life, not out of malice, but out of a protective, almost possessive crush. That is incredibly intense behavior for a teenager, and it fundamentally changes the definition of their war.
It does. When June confronts Ryan about this later, he confirms it, stating, "I was definitely the bad guy. I just wasn't against you like you thought." He was using hostility and manipulation to maintain proximity and control the environment around her because he couldn't process or express the crush he had.
He chose to be the convenient enemy.
Because that was easier than being the vulnerable suitor who might be rejected.
And the ultimate proof that this conflict was always masked desire is the tiny yellow piece of paper Ryan finds at her house.
This is the narrative's emotional anchor. It's the only genuine soft compliment Ryan ever gave her in high school, written after she spilled soda on her sweater. "You look cute covered in soda."
And she kept it.
June, this fiercely independent woman, had held on to this single, crumpled yet smoothed out note for over a decade. She kept it pinned to her vanity mirror. It proves that despite her aggressive facade, her feelings for Ryan were just as deep and unresolved as his were for her.
This secret history of pining and protection sets the stage for these crucial moments of vulnerability that finally break June's defenses. The first occurs during the trust exercise at the seamstress shop. Ryan, still operating on their old rules of engagement, tricks her into thinking she's alone in the changing room.
His intention was a tease, right? A classic antagonistic move designed to prompt her usual defiant response. He expected her to march out, ready for a verbal duel.
But that's not what happens.
Not at all. Instead, she breaks down. June starts crying, not because of the joke, but because she feels utterly exposed and humiliated, triggering those Ben-related feelings of not being good enough.
And Ryan is genuinely shocked by her tears. This immediately shifts his perception. He realizes this pain is far deeper than their high school rivalry ever was.
He instantly recognizes the vulnerable June, the woman with real unhealed hurt, not the high-stepping girl he knew. He immediately tosses her clothes over the door, changing his tactics instantly and recognizing he needs to be straight with her because the old games are actively causing her pain.
That realization is so essential for Ryan's growth. It forces him to abandon that douchebag supreme persona he cultivated both professionally and personally. He learns, in that instant, that aggression is no longer the key to winning her.
Compassion is.
Exactly. And that compassion is then deployed during the pivotal emotional climax, the shower incident. June learns her cheating ex, Ben, is getting married, and it triggers her old wounds violently. Ryan finds her upset, and instead of trying to talk her down, he chooses a dramatic, disruptive intervention.
It's a moment of tactical genius and a high drama. He pulls her, fully clothed, into the shower. The cold water is a psychological shock that serves to literally break her defenses. It's impossible to maintain her rigid emotional armor while soaking wet. This physical jolt forces her resistance to collapse.
And in that raw moment, she finally reveals the full, crushing truth of Ben's betrayal. And specifically the body shaming, the relief, the critique that she got too comfortable. The full extent of her pain just comes pouring out.
And Ryan's response is perfect because it's immediate, passionate, and directly counters Ben's toxicity. He doesn't offer platitudes. He unleashes the protective, deeply loyal side of his personality, calling Ben a self-serving idiot and passionately validating her entire self, stating, "You're beautiful, June."
It's not just a compliment. It's an undoing of 5 years of trauma.
It is, and the vulnerability is mutual. This exchange, which moves them from enemies to partners, requires Ryan to share his painful truth as well, the death of his mother and how cooking transitioned from a comforting memory to a high-stakes, stressful career. Sharing loss and betrayal, not ambition and banter, is the true turning point.
So, with their feelings and traumas finally exposed, the commitment phase begins. And the narrative immediately introduces the ultimate litmus test.
June's family.
June's intrusive, entirely Southern family, the Broadens. You cannot talk about commitment in Charleston without talking about the Browns.
Oh, you can't.
June tries to avoid their inevitable Sunday gathering, especially since Stacy left, because she knows her family will turn any potential suitor into a project. The entire clan shows up uninvited to harass Ryan.
June describes them, with a mix of exasperation and affection, as unhateable and completely intrusive.
And it's a total vetting process. It's designed to see if Ryan is serious and stable enough for June, given her track record of professional and romantic self-sabotage. The Broaden women, her mother Bonnie and her sisters Jenny, Julia, and Josie, they just surround him.
And the questions are relentless and deeply personal. Past relationships, criminal record, family goals, and critically, his seriousness about June.
This serves a vital narrative function.
Yeah.
It forces Ryan to articulate his intentions not just to June, but to her entire support system, proving he's willing to face the scrutiny of her community.
And June's mother, Bonnie, delivers the crucial piece of relationship wisdom Ryan needs to understand how to handle June's fear of commitment. Bonnie notes that June doesn't like jumping into cold water. Therefore, Ryan must inch her in and prepare to hold on in rough waters because, mark my word, sugar, there will be rough waters ahead. This is the family's permission and instruction manual for how to court June successfully, slowly, patiently, and with absolute commitment.
And Ryan internalizes this perfectly, which is so evident in his choice for their first real date. He had initially planned a spectacular, grand, meaningful date in Chicago, likely leveraging his Michelin status and wealth.
And he cancels it.
He cancels it, and instead he chooses intimacy and shared history over extravagance. He sets up a quiet night in his sterile Chicago apartment with Chinese takeout and cues up the movie My Best Friend's Wedding.
which is a specific recreation of a memory from their 10th grade debate trip. This is Ryan saying, I see you, I remember our history, and I value comfort and shared connection more than performance.
And this strategy of calculated nostalgia works brilliantly. A playful pillow fight ensues, which leads to Ryan pinning her down. In this moment of playful, controlled intimacy, June finally, verbally confesses the truth that she has been masking for years.
It's the breakthrough moment of realization. When Ryan asks her, why didn't you go out with Hunter, the guy whose number he stole, she finally admits, because he wasn't you. She is admitting that all her antagonistic energy, all her attempts to crush him, were just frustrated desire for him.
This confession triggers a monumental psychological and professional breakthrough for June. She immediately retreats to Ryan's closet, a safe, enclosed space, and calls Stacy.
And she admits she's crazy about him and loves him. But crucially, she tackles her deepest fears.
She confesses she's a fraud feminist, a concept we absolutely must analyze. She had championed independence and self-sufficiency publicly, but she admits privately that she doesn't want to be alone. Her proclaimed self-reliance was a reaction to Ben's betrayal, not genuine comfort with solitude.
And she confirms she does want to buy Stacy's share of Darlin Donuts, but she is too scared to run it on my own.
This is the linkage we needed. Her fear of professional independence is directly tied to her fear of romantic commitment. She fears feeling alone in business, just as she fears being rejected alone in love. By confessing her love for Ryan, she simultaneously unlocks the confidence to face her professional fear.
And she seals this internal shift by finally telling her mother the complete, devastating truth about Ben's cheating and rejection.
And Ryan, seeing June embrace commitment and vulnerability, makes his ultimate sacrifice, solidifying his commitment in return. He tells June he is moving to Charleston and is giving up the executive chef position at Basque, the epic career changer.
This decision represents a profound shift in values, choosing personal fulfillment and community over the high-stakes, isolating pressure of his career.
But this isn't just a sacrifice, right? It's a strategic professional pivot that proves he's committed to June and his own redefined purpose.
Exactly. He reveals that he had already put an offer on the commercial space directly across the street from Darlin Donuts before he even came to Chicago.
That is critical. He isn't moving to Charleston to be June's house husband. He is moving to pursue a new venture, opening a high-end cafe bakery in that space. He's shifting his immense culinary skill from the anonymous global stage to a local, purposeful venture connected to his original motivation cooking, rooted in love and community.
He is validating his commitment to her by building a life in her city, mirroring her passion with his own.
So the major decisions have been made. June, driven by her history of trauma, engages in one final dramatic act of self-sabotage.
It proves that sometimes, even after a breakthrough, external doubt can trigger old wounds.
And the trigger is Noah Prescott, the renowned restaurateur who offered Ryan the Basque job. At a celebratory dinner, Noah approaches June, acting as the ultimate voice of self-doubt and poisoned cynicism. Noah knows June's weak spot, the fear of being resented for holding Ryan back.
He does. Noah suggests that Ryan is only giving up his dream career, the kind of opportunity that happens once in a lifetime, because June is gorgeous and he's crazy about you. But then he delivers the poison pill.
What does he say?
He says, good men like Ryan will give up everything for the women they care about. But what happens in 5 years when all those tingly little sparks fade?
Well, that speaks directly to June's Ben trauma. Ben left her when the comfortable sparks faded. Noah is suggesting that Ryan will eventually regret the sacrifice, resent her, and leave her because she wasn't enough to justify giving up his epic career.
And terrified that Ryan will eventually feel trapped and blame her, June executes her exit strategy. She leaves Ryan a cryptic note and runs straight to the airport without buying a ticket, choosing to cut things off like this because she believes, delusionally, that she is protecting him.
She convinces herself it is better to just cut you out now before he can inflict the pain of future resentment.
It's a classic flight response rooted in insecurity. She is preemptively rejecting him to avoid future rejection, repeating her pattern of professional and romantic self-sabotage. She would rather control the pain of the breakup than risk the uncertainty of a lifelong commitment.
But Ryan, knowing June and recognizing her trauma, immediately understands the self-sabotage logic. He races to the airport, clicking his dress shoes over the sidewalk, feeling like a bad romantic cliché, and intercepts her at the entrance.
June, in her heightened emotional state, launches into her dramatic monologue, confirming she missed the flight on purpose because she never bought a ticket. She confesses her fear of resentment and her belief that he couldn't possibly be happy in Charleston with her. She's trying to convince herself and him that this breakup is for his own good.
But Ryan, he just cuts through the drama with absolute stability and commitment. He interrupts her and confirms the practical, concrete future he has already built for them in Charleston, which supersedes the need for her dramatic exit.
He corrects her narrative of sacrifice by confirming his strategic pivot. You're right. I should have told you I bought the space across from your donut shop. He confirms he is opening a competitive, meaningful cafe bakery in that space. He silences her self-sabotaging monologue with a kiss, grounding her in the physical reality of their connection.
And then he provides the definitive, eternal confirmation she needed to hear.
I love you. I always have. Pretty certain I always will.
The ultimate rivalry, the competitive antagonism that defined their entire relationship, is now literally built into the foundation of their life together.
And 1 year later, we see the new normal, which proves that June successfully overcame her professional fragility. She bought Stacy's share and is the full owner of Darlin' Donuts, confidently running the business solo. She conquered her fear of failure and loneliness.
She achieved the professional independence she was too scared to even admit she wanted.
And Ryan is now the owner of the high-end cafe bakery across the street. The entire setup is the ultimate irony. The enemy is now their business competitor, mirroring their high school rivalry, but in a way that fuels their relationship and individual success.
Their daily life is defined by high-stakes flirting and competitive banter. We see this in the final snapshot of their interaction, where Ryan leans over June with his bad guy gaze, asking about a specific creation.
What did you do to the donut?
The war is ongoing, but the goal has shifted. It's no longer about tearing each other down, it's about challenging each other to be better.
So to synthesize this whole deep dive, the narrative illustrates a profound psychological journey for both June and Ryan. June needed to strip away the complex layers of defense built around her personal trauma, the devastating emotional wounds inflicted by Ben's rejection, and the professional insecurity stemming from her fear of failing alone after Stacy left.
Right. Only once she embraced that deep vulnerability could she finally accept a relationship with Ryan that wasn't based on antagonism.
And conversely, Ryan's journey was about realizing that the ultimate professional peak, the 3 Michelin stars, the Basque position, was actually meaningless because it disconnected him from his true purpose, cooking rooted in family, love, and community. He had to pivot his professional aspirations and sacrifice external validation to achieve a deeper, more meaningful personal fulfillment in Charleston with June.
Their story proves that the opposite of hate isn't just love. Often the opposite of hate is a deep mutual obsession disguised as competition.
And the most successful partnerships are sometimes those that require one or both parties to strategically sacrifice or pivot monumental professional ambitions when those ambitions stand in the way of long-term personal happiness and stability.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We are left with a provocative final thought built on the foundation of June and Ryan's ongoing competitive marriage. What happens when the most successful partnership you've ever had is built not on peace and agreement, but on the constant, exhilarating challenge of competition? When should we start seeing a romantic rival, even a former one, as an existential threat to our success and start seeing them as the engine that drives it?